Good, good afternoon, everybody. 1 o'clock here, London time, 2 p.m. France time, and I believe 7 p.m. in Thailand. Welcome to professionalbeauty.world. For all of those looking at on your social media, if you want to interact with the platform, please join us at professionalbeauty.world. Professionalbeauty.world. You'll have to spend a couple of minutes registering, but once you've done that, you can interact at no cost by 6 simultaneous conference programs and hundreds of suppliers. So hope to see you on that. Thank you very, very much to our panel. This is one of my favorite panels, I have to say. I shouldn't say that, should I? I'm upset now, another 100 speakers. But wellness destinations and navigating the uncharted waters. We have got an excellent panel in alphabetical order. Andrew Gibson, who's the chairman of the Wellness Tourist Association. Matteo Brusaferi, who's the boss of Lemmy Group. Welcome, Matteo. John Nielsen, general manager of 5 Elements Retail. Sonia Spring, director of Clinique La Prairie. And last but by no means least, John Stewart, who's a co-founder of Kamalaya in Thailand. Welcome. And my co-host, of course, Jean-Guy de Gabriel, boss, chair, founder of the World Wellness Weekend. I believe, Jean-Guy, we have over 100 countries represented in over 1,000 spas, and the weekend is the 19th and 20th of this month, September. So welcome, everybody. Jean-Guy, do you want to say a couple of words before we kick off in earnest?
Absolutely, thank you. I'd like to say thank you to all the teams of Professional Beauty who have joined in this effort to bring answers, insights. No one knows the answers. No one has the magic one, but we're all looking forward to finding ways to adapt, to cope, to thrive, not just survive in this situation. It's about opening for some, reopening for some, reopening soon for some in around the Melbourne area. So challenging times, but we have amazing movers and shakers during these 3 days, certainly during this panel. Thank you very much, Lemmy, for sponsoring this panel. Thank you very much, Andrew Jaka and all the team at the Asia Pacific Spa and Wellness Coalition. And I would just like to remind all of you listening on professionalbeauty.world, but also on YouTube, that you should connect to professionalbeauty.world and prepare your questions, because we're going to go through about 40 minutes of sessions right now, panels, elements we have prepared to cover how to cope with the situation, marketing and sales. As the chairman of the Wellness Tourism Association is also going to share with us some information about research that have been published both by the Wellness Tourism Association, but also by the Global Wellness Institute. So stay tuned, and we will take questions in about 40 minutes. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Jean-Guy. So first question, I suppose, to Sonia. I think a lot of people, the staff have had, we talk about our customers, we talk about the properties. Staff obviously have to bear the brunt of many redundancies, cutbacks. What were your hardest struggles about reopening, particularly from a staff issue?
Okay, so for us at the Clinique La Prairie, the reopening was more concerning actually the Wellness International part, because we have a medical center that has continued to open. But indeed, speaking about the staff, we will have to come back for the reopening. There has been also uncertainty in the world right now, but it's also for the staff himself. So firstly, obviously, security was very important, so to make their place safe at work. But at the same time, you have these staff coming back, and there is also lots of questions, new environment, new procedures, new routines, new daily routine that they have to implement. So all the point and the challenge, but also our role was really to accompany them. So to answer the question, to explain them properly what's going to happen, what will change, and be there really literally every day to make sure that they feel comfortable with this new situation that can be also challenging for them in the professional environment. and listening, reassuring, and be a comfort for them. So I think this is really the main important point, to be as human as we are with the clients, that we can be with the staff.
Thank you. I will follow up though. Were there any specific tougher instances you had to deal with? I mean, I'm sure the vast majority of your team were pleased to be back, but
Yes.
any could you share any of the tougher things you had to deal with?
Of course. So the tougher, I think, was pretty much the fact that when we reopened, it was not a full scope, obviously, which I guess it's the same for all the hospitality and wellness industry. So it means that you have actually to make sure that you deliver with the staff the same experiences, high level experiences that you have when you have a full house of staff. And it means that actually some of them we had to reassign some roles to some of them, in order to be able to be maybe multitasking and things like this. And let's say that for some of the people that choose to be just in one role and not in several roles, this could be something that is a bit frightening, or at least you feel a bit confused. So this was pretty much the main challenge. So really speaking and again clarifying with the guests, due to this fact of having less staff, but always being able to deliver the same high level experience.
Thank you. John, what was your experience? I know you never really closed, but what was your experience? John Stewart.
Hi. Well, here at Kamalaya, we didn't close, but the government actually closed the whole country, also to outside guests and within the country. And we were allowed to stay open because we had guests. So we had 16 guests who stayed in the resort, and we stayed open the entire time. And we dealt with it by bringing our team. We had between 50 and 60 of our team members living inside the resort with us. And we separated the front of house with the back of house. So all the guest facing team and the guests were all in isolation because we were our own bubble. And the back of house operated separately and dealt with the outside world. And we didn't mix for all of that period. And we had our team break up into groups. So while we always had 50 or 60 members in the resort, we always had 50 or 60 members at the staff accommodation in isolation, and we delivered food to them every day in their rooms. So then they could change shifts every 2 weeks.
Interesting. And so now you're back. When you getting them back into some sort of sense of normality, what were the challenges on that?
Thai people are very easy, and we operate here a little bit like a family. So we all have been able to work together as a very close-knit team. I think the most challenging thing has been that as we don't have access to the market, we have very few guests because international arrivals aren't allowed. So our main customer base can't come. So a lot of our team has to be on long-term leave. So people are taking long holidays. I think that's really difficult for some people. It's been nice that some people could spend more time with their families, and it's been nice that some people could learn new trades and take more courses. But it's also financially, it's a strain on them, on all of us.
Of course. John, what was your experience? John Nielsen, sorry.
Thank you, and it's great to be here. At Five Elements in Bali, we never really closed. I mean, we made a very, very clear decision from the beginning that it was ultimately about, and a bit similar to what John was talking about, it's about supporting the staff and about really keeping that bubble. Five Elements in Bali is in a very unique location. We are sort of hidden away in some sense. So the new normal of I think, wellness people coming to a destination where you can keep yourself away from other people, it was very much that. So we took that decision. And in Bali there has been, and up until recently, there has been a group of people who sort of have stayed and who didn't want to go back to the US or wherever they needed to go back to. So they were supporters of us. And only recently have we opened up the domestic borders only. So we're similar to what Thailand is going through. But you take every single care and do everything you can. Look, the main asset is our staff, and the more we do for them, the better we are in the long term.
Thank you. Matteo, what's your take on it, both from your own point of view and sharing some of your customers?
Yeah, so first of all, I have to say I'm in Italy, and I'm in Lombardy, which has been one of the first region getting hit after China. So it's been difficult because we didn't know exactly what to do, because everybody was looking at Italy to see what we were putting in place, and we had nobody to look at, So it was difficult, and it's been difficult for all our employees on a mental point of view. Let's say it was very heavy, and some of our employees wasn't feeling very safe at the beginning. That's why we choose to close for 3 weeks, even though we could have stayed open, since we operate in medical field as well. So we closed for 3 weeks, and then we put it in place, all the different things the government was telling us, like to keep social distancing between the employees, wearing masks, putting screens to divide different offices, 1 person per office. So we create a very safe and nice environment here in our company. And we saw that after 3 weeks, when all our employees came back, they were feeling very safe, and they all were okay working here. So I think the mood and the feeling they were having was good. So I think this helped us a lot to reopen. For spas in Italy, it's been a bit more difficult because they stayed closed for a longer time, and when they were unable to reopen, rules were not very clear. So it was a bit shady. But I see that now they are all working pretty well, especially the hotels. There are lots of hotels with a good occupancy in these holidays, even though some of them decided not to open, especially new location. But I think that slowly we are going back to normal here.
Thank you. I'm actually going to go straight to you, Andrew Gibson. Talking about, I believe the Wellness Tourism Association has done quite a bit of research, and amongst nearly 4,000 consumers from about 48 countries. What to consumers, what were the key takeaways of that research? Would you mind changing the tack here now?
Yep, happy to do that, Mark. As you said, it was 4,000 consumers. I think the other interesting piece of information on that was that this was actually conducted between April and June. So it's very recent. And the purpose was to see the attitude of travel and tourism post-COVID. So once flights return and travel returns, what would be the kind of attitude that these respondents would be seeking? And I think it's no big surprise to anybody, but it's kind of reassuring that that anything where the people said more than 25% of the people said they were interested would be the significant things. And those things are, is 1, connecting with nature, 2, an opportunity to rejuvenate, 3, just to escape the demands of everyday life. I mean, it sounds easy staying at home, but for some people that's extremely demanding. So just to get that sense of escape. Outdoor activities, very, very important, connects with the nature. Surprisingly, but interesting, to look and feel better. And to find peace and quiet. They were the big things. To a lesser degree, not quite as significant as those, but still relatively important. Get a better night's sleep and improve my health. So I don't think those things are massively different to the reasons why people would want to go on a wellness trip anyway. I think what was also significant in this, and just a quick plug for the wellness tourism, that tomorrow the full survey results will be done on a webinar at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And that will be delivered by the PhD student that actually conducted this research. But I think the significant other piece of information at the macro level was that whilst sort of 22% of the people said, yes, wellness travel is a priority of those, interestingly, another 67% said they would include wellness in their travel plans. So if you put that together, virtually everybody wants to have something to do with wellness on their next vacation trips. And I think that's pretty significant.
Andrew, was there any time, people will be wondering, well, is this, obviously it will depend on local restrictions, local culture, where the pandemic is in any one region, but was there any time emphasis of when people thought they might be venturing out again?
It's another question we asked, and in hindsight, it's actually quite good that we didn't ask that question, because who would have thought that if you'd asked that in April, I think the people would say, oh, well, here we are, we're coming into middle of September, and people would not have dreamed that it would continue to carry on if you'd asked them in April. So we didn't ask that question, and I can't answer that. But what I can say from a personal observation, and to John's point at Kamalaya, actually, the hospitality industry is totally reliant on the airline industry if you want international travel. So the question needs to be asked to the airline industry, when do you think you'll be able to get some resumption of services? And of course, that then turns into a political question. And there I'll stop.
Very wise. Thank you, Andrew. Over to you, Jean-Guy.
Thank you very much. Before we move to the next question, John did raise his right hand to say the truth, all the truth and nothing but the truth. So what would you like to add about airlines?
I just wanted to say that we have the experience now. Thailand opened up for domestic travel 3 months ago, and we were completely unknown in Thailand. Our entire marketing and all of our customer base was from the rest of the world. And we were suddenly going, oh my God, now we have to make ourselves known in Thailand. We have had a steady stream, of course, at very reduced costs, but we have had a steady stream of people arriving by car and now also by plane. They arrive in masks, and they arrive, many of them a little bit shaken up from all the time they've spent isolated and everything. And within a day or so, we're having exactly the same experience we've always had. People want to be touched. People want treatments. People fall into all the things that we do here at Kamalaya. And although we do and will depend on the travel agents, the airline companies coming back in force sometime in the future, which looks to be much delayed, I think people will very rapidly come and...
So John, if I can interrupt, you
Yes.
then made a big change. So you were relying very heavily on international. Now you said a couple of, and now how did you reach those Thai? And you also said you did reduce your costs. You
Yes.
reduced them because it's to the local. So tell us how you reached those people first, the domestic market, because a lot of spas will be doing the same thing or wanting to do the same thing.
Well, as soon as the pandemic began, we invested in digital, and we invested in technology, which we were not big on before. And Kamalaya is basically a very low tech property. We are a hands-on property, not a tech property, and we don't even encourage it within the property. But we invested in creating digital marketing. We invested in creating a new website, which will come out in the next few weeks. We invested in creating this new digital platform called Kamalaya Connect. And we've reached out in a massive way through Instagram and all of the social media things that I don't even have myself on my own.
You really pushed to the domestic audience through social. And what packages then, what did you do? Because you hinted you did something more specific on the cost. So how did you market that? What can you, without going to every Thai baht, but how is that package different to your your international package?
Well, it's of course, this is only and solely for people who are in Thailand, but there are a couple of million foreigners who live in Thailand, and European and Western people, and from all over the world, foreigners, and 60 million Thais. So Koh Samui is considered a very expensive destination in Thailand. So we created packages where we paid for the airline tickets. We created flash sales where we're selling the Kamalaya at like 40% off, and then with a flash sale, a further big discount, half of that.
Discounted. Did you find that because you are seen? I've not been to Kamalaya, but of course you've won the World Spa and Wellness Awards numerous times, and you are seen as a property that people aspire to, and would seem to the outsider as a certain type of client goes there. Did you find that the client profile, obviously apart from being Thai, and did you find that the client profile changed? Was it a more negative experience, or how did you find that the client profile changed?
We thought it might become a more negative experience, but it has been a wonderful, extraordinary, positive experience. We're getting the same clientele. When people slow down, when they're nurtured, when they're cared for, you find out how absolutely wonderful people are. We have guests who came to us the first time in June or July and have already been here 3, and we have one who's just booked for their 4th time already. We're having the same kind of building that kind of same loyalty that people feel that this is the perfect time. We are the perfect place. I mean, not just Kamalaya, but wellness destinations are where people need to go because people are suffering from loneliness, anxiety, depression, from being locked up, from needing to be touched and reconnect.
No, thank you. Jean-Guy, I've taken up enough of your space. Please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thanks, Jean-Guy.
Mark, it's your conference. It's your show. You take as much time as you want, of course. I'm going to ask in just a few minutes to Sonia and Matteo a question about the wow factors that is critical now. But since you touched on digital with John, I'd like to talk about digital with John. John Nielsen, you've been working on an amazing system, an app with a digital provider that translates in several languages. Can you touch on this during lockdown?
Yes, I mean, it's this wonderful system that a company called Portia, who are actually based in Thailand, funnily enough, came up with. We going a good year back, we started looking at the opportunities to basically be as digital as possible. And in many sense, it's also a paper saving, because that's part of what 5 Elements Retreat is very much about, is trying to be as sustainable as possible. And so in order not to knock too many trees down and too much paper, we slowly sort of went through that process of looking. So everything goes on to a digital system. So basically when the guest arrives, they're given a phone, and on that phone, they can basically have got every single aspect of communicating with us. The wonderful part about it basically, instead of saying, that we say to them, here's your key and here's your key to your holiday. And it's brilliant, because it means that they, from a communications, and especially now in the new age, they are able to communicate with us without, it doesn't matter what language, it translates it. So you can communicate in Korean and we can translate it back. It's a great system. But also going back to what John was saying, I mean, we've seen that same scenario with Indonesia, that suddenly Bali being closed to the international travelers, suddenly you've got Jakarta, and very similar. We never really marketed our business to Jakarta. Now we're suddenly seeing an influx of Indonesians, of course, 30-40% less rates. And actually being a small hotel is the advantage, that people are coming because they want to go to the smaller places. They want to have that personal touch. And as John says, there's no difference. People are coming to a wellness destination to be nurtured. They want to eat healthy food. They want to feel great. They want to go to the gym. They want to have treatments. That's what it's all about. But now there's other services that they can use.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. For you joining us right now on Professional beauty.world or on YouTube, know that we are going to touch on wow effects. We're going to touch on more information from Andrew Gibson with data from a research from the Global Wellness Tourism Initiative from the Global Wellness Institute. And we're going to touch on marketing and sales actions that have been proven to be very successful in the past few months. So question to you, Sonia, and then Matteo, and then we'll go back to Mark. Everyone is talking about safety first, sanitization, sterilization. Health is definitely, and safety is definitely number one. Can WOW be second? And what are you doing and what have you implemented recently to keep on wowing your guests? Because this is something you've been doing for years and years at Clinique La Prairie. What's new?
Absolutely. Of course, you're right. I mean, all the new regulation, the new procedure we have to put for the security, I think those are some kind of basics now that people expect. But all the point of a wellness destination like Clinique La Prairie is to have those in place, but actually being able to actually bring the personal service to the highest level. So for us, all the, let's say, the thinking in this period was to say, okay, there is things that we cannot do anymore on paper. There is things that we cannot do anymore with objects. So instead of going only with materiality, instead of going with only digital, what can we do in terms of human touch that is essential to the experience you have in Clinique La Prairie? How can we really do to have this connection and this humanity in the experience that the client has when he or she is in Clinique La Prairie? And we really try to have this kind of thinking in all touch points that the guests will have once in this COVID-19 world. And I give you two examples in which we think we have succeeded in bringing this next mile in the highest personal service. One is actually all the relationship with the guest experience manager. Obviously, we've got these persons who are taking care of the guests when they arrive. And what we did is that we expand the role of guest experience manager to what we call now a health coach. It means that this person has become the go-to person for the guest from the moment the client is booking to actually the moment in which he or she is leaving the clinic. And literally day and night, she is this Jen, so this guest experience manager, is the person to whom the guest can say, okay, I have a problem, I don't feel secure, I need something more. So really is having somebody who is always there to reassure, always there also just to please, because it's also a kind of emotion and a kind of living the experience, but also just a person to listen to what is very special in this moment. And maybe a second example, nutrition is actually key in Clinique La Prairie programs. It's one of the pillars we've got in all the week health and wellness program we've got in Montreux. And nutrition goes with the restaurant. So as any other restaurant in the wellness hotel, you know, you have all the distancing you need to do. You need to put procedure. So for us, we said, okay, instead of actually just having a digital thing of looking at the menu, what we did again, we went to the extra mile. So what we have now, we have a bespoke experience also at the restaurant. It means that when the guest arrives, he or she actually speaks directly with the chef every day. And the person will actually tell, okay, what I would like to have today, what I'm in the mood of having, what I dislike, what are my dietary constraints. And along with what are actually the regulations that are included in the program, for example, if you choose a weight loss or if you choose a master detox program, then the chef will actually go back to the kitchen and craft something very special for the guests every day, just based on these wishes. So this is two examples of how we wanted really to keep connection and humanity as the center of our experience.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sonia. Matteo, I know that as a world-leading manufacturer of wellness equipment, innovation never stops with your team. I believe later on you will be speaking about the Spa Shield, but you wanted to mention something new that you will be creating with one of your tables.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Jean-Guy. So yeah, we took this time, you know, with we took this time that we have even during the lockdown to work a bit more on the wow aspect of our product, but not only. We thought that as Andrew was saying, there is a growing demand of wellness tourism, and people is looking more and more for this kind of services and for new experiences. And so we decide to be not only focused on the technical part of the equipment by creating like new movement, let's say, of new function, but we also wanted to provide a full experience together with the table and together with our tables. So we've been focused on new treatments, creating new treatments, like we did last year with the ocean dream massage. We decided to create a new one, a new treatment, a new massage, which has a deep reset idea. So a concept, the idea is to create a very strong moment of relax and reset for people that would be very stressed after this period. So we create a new massage that we called the Sea of Sand massage, which will be presented by the end of the year. And so we are also working on some other news, but I can't disclose, of course, too much because it's still too early for that. But we took this time actually to invest and to spend more time in innovation and R&D on our products and on future products.
Thank you, Matteo. As we were preparing this panel, and very soon Mark is going to take the other half, the second half of this session. As we were preparing, Matteo, I was really touched to see that with your team, if I remember, with Elena, with international sales, Stefania and Gaia, you're definitely working on providing your guests, your clients, not just equipments, not just new pieces of furniture to add in the spa, but also marketing and sales solutions so that they use those equipments to the fullest to bring people back to the spa, not just because it is clean and safe or stylish with your equipment, but because it is a wow factor, it's essential. So we thank you for being a driving force also. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, and I'm picking on you again, Andrew Gibson. The research that you've done, it was done by the same time as the Wellness Tourism Initiative by the Global Wellness Institution. How have the findings been the same, and where have they differed? What's been the similarities and where are the differences?
So the similarities, and they're remarkably similar actually, which is kind of reassuring, I suppose. But they surveyed just over 2,000 people in similar territories. Both of them had around about 40 to 50 countries involved. However, the dominant respondents came from North America, and significantly so. There was a slight edge on females, but only a slight edge. It was around about 54% females that responded and around about the similar figure with the Global Wellness. The biggest common denominator amongst them two is outdoor travel and nature. Those are the two big things. People want to get in touch with the outdoors and want to really engage with nature. And you're actually seeing that already in the rise from the tourist perspective in the number of people that are, one, buying yachts, believe it or not, two, those that are taking more private aircraft. Interestingly enough, a colleague of mine was talking about how she was now flying privately to her clients. And the other thing is, of course, the rise and increase in trips to natural parks. And I think that's an interesting piece of information for wellness resorts that perhaps one obviously can capture on the outdoor locations, but if you're in an urban location, how can you bring nature or how can you bring the outdoors to the urban environment and to capitalize on that? Because that's what people are seeking. They want to escape from the confines of their own home, and nature's the best healer to be able to do that. Interesting.
Any more divergences? Was that pretty much it?
No, not really any divergences, surprisingly. I think the similarities were remarkable. Not necessarily surprising when you consider that some of the people from the Global Wellness were exactly the same people from the Wellness Tourism Association. So perhaps the questions were so similar that it ended with the result. I do have one, and it's a question I shall ask to the surveyors that will present their findings tomorrow, and that is the demographics. As I said, it's predominantly from North America, a slight bias towards female, not necessarily, just around about 54%, and an income bracket that would be $75,000 plus annual income. So you're talking of a particular type of person. So my question is, did the survey attract those people to respond, or is it genuine that they are the type of people that want to go on wellness holidays? I don't know. Because it begs the question about the minority groups, or the people that that perhaps don't have $75,000 to spend, and what's their attitude towards wellness.
Of course, it's a sample. Thank you, Andrew. Jean-Guy, back to you.
Thank you very much. All eyes are now on re-engineering programs, menus, packages, not just selling treatments by the units, but more offering journeys so that people can embark on a journey with themselves, with their body, with their immune system. And I have a question for you, John, in a second, because in May, when we had another series of conferences like this for the World Spine Wellness Online Conference with Mark and his teams, several key operators, and especially in Singapore, mentioned that they're really focusing on immunity, boosting the immune system, resiliency. This is a program you've launched also recently at Kamalaya. John, can you touch on this? And then we'll hear from Sonia at Clinique La Prairie.
Well, thank you. Yes, at Kamalaya, we have, you also asked us if we had reduced our programming, but we haven't reduced our programming, but we've only added to it. And of course, we have built this new program. Karina has, Karina's stuck in America, so she has time to design things. And so she designed a immunity and resilience program. It's a fully holistic program that first works on the body through diet and exercise, and then on the mind through meditation, pranayama, working with our mentors. I can't describe it exactly right now. I'm totally not prepared for that question, but we realized that the most important thing we can do for this particular crisis that we're faced with right now is to be strong, both inner and outer, to have everything together. So that is Kamalaya's focus anyway. So we took many of the elements that we already offer here, and we built this very special program around it. And
thank you.
I believe it also,
yeah.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to say we also do a blood test along with it, but I'm not Karina, excuse me.
Okay, no, of course. Sonia, yesterday on the panel about the GCC in Africa, Ken Richards from Six Senses said that Six Senses has launched Play Now, Pay Later. And you have launched Book Now, Travel Later. Can you let us know about this? And also tell us a little bit about what if your health was your true wealth, especially because your clientele for generations has been the mostly affluent, the ones who need to make sure that within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, they get the most to be back in the race at their utmost peak performance. So Book Now, Travel Later, and health and wealth.
Sure. So the Book Now, Travel Later is just a way. Obviously, all the big challenge today is that people, even if there is some travel restriction were lifted, they are still reluctant to book because they don't know what's happening in the next month, in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months. So I think that also as part of high-level services, which we should do is also make sure that guests can actually book at Clinique La Prairie without having this fear of, okay, what will happen with my cancellation fee and things like this. So all these things about Book Now, Travel Later was to say, you can trust us. We know what's happening. We know that things can be uncertain. So we have flexible terms. And this was really like, for us, obviously, a really important service we can give to our guests. And the other one, so you're speaking indeed about what if your health was your true wealth. Clinique La Prairie has been a pioneer in health and longevity since 1931. So we've got nearly 90 years of expertise in the field. And so for us, it is really a special moment, you know, because we speak about health, we speak about immune system every day when we are at the clinic and when we are with our guests. And this was really the moment in which we wanted really to somehow really highlight in our communication this phrase, what if your health was your true wealth? Because it's really all we are living here about. And our position, our perspective here in terms of marketing and communication was several things. The first one, we tried really to keep the conversation going throughout the period. There were lockdown, there were obviously for us inability to welcome the guests. But on the contrary, without being able to welcome them here, we wanted our experts to be able actually to give them tips, to give them a recommendation about how they can actually implement some routines in their everyday lifestyle to be able to somehow boost their immune system. So we've had several panels. We've had also tips that we've shared on our social media, all from our experts in nutrition, in wellness, in medical as well, again, to keep this conversation going and to share our expertise. And so there is, I think, also lots of misinformation in this period of COVID. You know, everybody is a bit like improvising himself as being a health institution and us as being an expert again in 90 years. We know what wellness and immunity is, and we know that you don't like say manage your immunity right in 2 days, but you need to do it by integrating in your lifestyle every day some good points. So this was also part of our communication.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mark.
I want to ask a marketing question, really. And what are the most successful marketing and sales actions that you've implemented? And I'm going to ask Matteo, but Matteo, I'm not, forgive me, I'm not, from a Lemmy point of view, I'm sure you've done lots of innovation. You were telling us about your Lemmy innovations. What have you noticed amongst some of your clients, whether you name them or not? What you see a different variety of clients worldwide. What have you seen as some of the most successful amongst your clients?
Well, I have to say that the when we launched the Spa Shield as a product, we got lots of visibility. I think it was the right product in the right time, and I think our customers saw that we were very reactive on the problem that they were facing, and that we presented something new, so they can see in Lemmy a partner that can come out with innovation constantly, even in difficult situations. From what I've seen, you said what I've seen from my customers in terms of marketing innovation, right? Well, I have to say that in Italy, unfortunately, I haven't seen much. I think Italy has been a bit, let's say, how to say, stopped by these things, and lots of locations decide not to open. But I saw lots of promotional well-being, and especially in private spas and private services. I think because
you mean, when you say private, you mean independently owned?
Yeah, exactly. Because no, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, private experiences where you're not in touch with anybody else, so where social distancing is very strong in place, but you're not in a situation where you need to wear a mask. You are just with your family, with your relatives, and you don't need necessarily to share the space with somebody else. So I see that the spa could offer something like that. We're working pretty well, and we're using this kind of promotion to keep on working on even in a situation which is not, of course, the best for this.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. What have you been up to? Again, coming back to you in terms of on the global marketing side.
So on marketing side, so what we did was really having these campaigns in which we can ongoing discussion with the media, but also with the clients. We did, for example, some panels with a bank partner that we've got to be able really to let's say enrich their client with some expertise on the wellness point, but at the same time making the reputation of Clinique La Prairie growing among the clientele that is the one that we can welcome here. And then in terms of on the global sales side, we wanted also to push special services. Means that when a guest, is thinking of coming to Clinique La Prairie, they expect a high level of services. And we knew that, for example, traveling was one of the pain points in this period. So we did, for example, and we still are having it, an offer door-to-door. It means that we can take care of the private jet plane if there is a guest who would like for us to take really a seamless experience from their door to our door.
Interesting. Now we've touched on. I asked you, John Stewart. You've obviously done a big push in Thailand. Any particular highlights there that you want to comment on in your marketing?
Well, we have stayed in touch with the whole world, but we haven't been doing a lot of marketing around the world. We've just been staying in touch and keeping the market aware of us. We just received an award with Organic Spa Magazine in America also for being the place of transformation. And we continue to reach out. But here in Thailand, we have, God, I don't really know I'm not a marketing person myself, but we have put our whole team into it. And in just a very short time, we've become known in Thailand, and we're having, we're not having high occupancies. Don't get me wrong. We're having 10, 15, 20% occupancies. On a good weekend, a long weekend, we're having 30, 40%. We're not like normal. Everything is much reduced, but it is from zero. We had 1% of our business came from Thailand prior to March for 15 years. And now we're having repeat business from our local clientele. So
no, I think that's excellent. I think that's one positive thing, that when the international guests come back, you retaining that Thai local base, it will be good. So that is at least encouraging. Jean-Guy, I believe you wanted to say something.
Absolutely. John Nielsen, let's go to you in Bali, 5 Elements. How do you feel wellness is still going to be relevant? Because we hear and we read in some articles that the industry is back to basics, back to its bread and butter, massages, facials in some instances. When we had such a strong wellness-driven industry, a 4.5 trillion industry, according to the Global Wellness Institute, how do you see wellness and wellness retreats play in the next 3 to 6 months as we approach the end of this session?
I mean, I think very similar to what we're seeing out of the local market, we'll see out of the international market. And having spent a lot of time in Australia during this COVID, what we've seen there is that people are desperate to get out. And people have jumped literally at the gun of being told lockdown is finished. Boom, people have gone. I had one gentleman who said to me, tourism is dead. I was like, no, I don't think it's reverse. And so I think what will happen naturally is that the demographics, the segments in the wellness industry will just keep growing, and will even grow more, because people are now understanding, I don't want to go and sit in a big hotel with a huge buffet. I want to go and have an individual treatment, be treated individually. It's all about, as John also says, it's all about the touch, the feel. I mean, I think wellness is only going to grow. Wellness, people are becoming more acute, aware of what they're doing. People are becoming more centralized of saying, well, I'm going to go on this holiday. I'm going to take a weekend away. I'm going to do more myself, me time. So I think it's a very natural progress of what's happening. And that's what we've done. I mean, we are doing a lot more packages to domestic guests out of Indonesia. And a bit like John, I think we were 2%, but I mean, nothing on the big picture. So it's actually been a wonderful opportunity. And I think that what one has to look at it and see at the light of the tunnel, there is a silver lining. And that lining is very much, there is new markets. And it's teaching us to adjust, and it's teaching us to rethink our business, which is good. And I mean, it's good for everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Back to you for the wrap up, maybe.
I think time again is escaping. We've gone 55 minutes already. I'll ask the panel, how are you preparing for your holiday season and for 2021? Sonia, have you got any? What are you up to for the next holiday season and for next year? Have you got any plans? What are you up to?
You mean for Clinique La Prairie, right? Yes. So what we are doing is that we really tried, as the other was saying, to keep this with positivity, and we think that something will emerge from this, and we can already see right now, indeed, that people, as soon as they can travel, they do, because they indeed need to be able to do something else, to re-energize, to take care of themselves. So we see some positivity signs arriving. So on our side, what we did, we have actually just launched a new program that is called Master Detox, to be able to really tackle all the toxins. And we've got also other programs that are perfectly in line with what people can have in terms of mind and body balance, in terms of immunity, etc. So this is really on, let's say, on the offering part that we are just managing in this coming months. We'll go with the rhythm of COVID. Obviously, there is still some uncertainty going on. And in terms of mindset, I would say with the staff here at Clinique La Prairie, the idea is always to maintain the fact that we want to teach them and to share with them that resilience and capacity to change is key, but it has to go with the keeping values and keeping the right energy. And really, all this positive mindset is something we are working every day to be able to have this holiday season being successful despite the rhythm of the COVID.
Thank you for that. John, what are you doing looking ahead to the holiday season and for John Stewart for next year? You're on mute, John. If you click on...
No, am I there now? Okay. For this year, we had expected to have our international guests back by Christmas. We have a gazillion of inquiries, but Thailand government doesn't seem to be opening up that fast. So we're making a really big push now for the local market. And we are, as always, encouraging people to come and take care of themselves, to reconnect with themselves, we make Christmas in a Buddhist country. We make it very, very, very special. And so whoever it is that makes it here, we expect a pretty good Christmas. It won't be like we've had in the past. We are here, we are open, we are ready, and our guests are really happy. So, up until, I just have to say, I know you only have a second and it's a wrap up, but up until 6 weeks ago, we thought we'd be open by Christmas. The government had encouraged us that way, and we had been expecting travel bubbles and having it, and now it's all been taken away from us. So we're all just kind of taking a really deep breath and trying to figure out how to deal with the next few months. But so far, we're making it positive.
Yeah, and I hear that, and I think your strong notion of we are here, we are ready, we are open, we welcome you, however many. Just as a by the by, it's obviously you're not, I presume, you haven't got intimate relations with the Thai government, but has it been out of interest? Is it a definite no for Christmas, or is it just looking uncertain?
Well, I will not say it's a definite no, but it is looking uncertain.
Okay, John Nielsen. Thank you, John. John Nielsen.
Very similar to what John is saying, but I mean, I think it's all about stay connected. Just give people those great moments. The more newsletters people get, we've been using our sister company in Hong Kong at 5 Elements Habitat in Hong Kong, using a lot of the meditation videos that we've been giving to our customers. And it's really about selling or giving them that experience and making them want to come to Bali, and we're just hoping and praying and for everybody in Bali that we get that right outcome at some point. So be ready and be smiling.
And would you mind elaborating a little bit more? You've touched on there was going back to an earlier question. What are you doing more, do you think, for your local guests? And what's the split between expats and I would say local in Indonesia?
Well, it's been 99% expats in the past. Now it's let's say 75% domestic and 20% expats who are living in Bali. I think it's more about, with the domestic, it's about educating them what wellness is. And I mean, I have been very fortunate to be ambassador for the Wellness Weekend, and it's really suddenly created this whole vision of let's open up to wellness in Indonesia, because wellness is really not something a lot of people know about. So I think there's actually some wonderful opportunities, and even with the owning company, Evolution Wellness and Fitness First and the fitness brands, we have some great opportunities to really spread that message from Zhongyi.
You've got a double job to do. You've got to promote 5 elements, and you've got to promote wellness. So it's
I think it's a wonderful position to be in, and you know, with the help of people like yourselves and John in Thailand, I think the more we educate the Asians about wellness, the better for all of us.
Yeah, in the long term, absolutely.
Wellness for all.
Last but not least, Matteo. Again, as much as possible, your clients, because Italy is now very much open. It's at the moment one of the, in Europe at least, has the least cases, because of course you had them all before and first. How are your clients preparing for 2021 and the Christmas season? And of course, not just your Italian clients, your international ones.
Well, I can see that they're all very active in marketing and communication and promoting their offers. Let's say I received from my customers, and I was talking with them, lots of overall of what they are proposing. So everyone is very focused in safety, and as well as in relax. I see lots of proposal, and they're all pushing a lot on their spa. Lots of customers are working with us right now to innovate their spa and to put some more innovation to be presented for Christmas. So I think there is a strong will and a strong need to go back to normal, and that's what they are trying to do. Still keeping an eye on safety and putting in place all the different rules that our government and all governments are putting in place to fight COVID-19.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we run out of time again. Andrew Gibson, Sonia Spring, John Stewart, John Nielsen, Matteo Braceferi, and of course, the lovely co-host and very capable Zhongyi de Gabriac. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. See you on professionalbeauty.world, and see you in 2 hours' time at 1600 British Summer Time, 1700 Central European Time for the GM debate. Thank you, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Bye.
So I saved you. She's not my friend.
Who's that?
Catherine Daniel.